Hey fam, I told you I would be back on. Okay, let's get this started. So, why am I on tonight? Over the next several weeks, as we are getting prepared for Building You Bootcamp 2026, I just wanted to do a pop-up so that you guys that are in New Jersey, coming to New Jersey, and you want to stop by to our in live, in person, Building You Bootcamp 2026. I would love to see you. And so I am over the next couple of weeks, I'm just going to do some pop-ups so that you can know what we're going to be discussing and talking about for this year's Building You Bootcamp. I labeled this session, Are You Prepared for Your Next Season? And so there's three things that God has really pressed on my heart for this year for Building You Bootcamp. And we're going to be talking about whose voice are you listening to? Right? We're going to be talking about don't lose your focus in the midst of uncertainty. And then it's time to get your finances in order. I think those are the three areas that God has given me to really talk about this year for Building You Bootcamp. So if any of those things resonate with you, you need to be in the room. Okay. So Building You Bootcamp is going to be on September 12th this year, and we're starting at 12:30. I love to say, because I know how we are. We run a little late, but please don't be late. Try to be on time because everything is scheduled to just hit the ground and run. And I don't want you to miss any part of it. I do believe that there's a message for you this year. And so if you are hearing my voice, whichever day you hear this live, great. I want you to know that God has a message for you, right? So we're focusing on you being prepared. We're focusing on positioning you so that you are ready and your focus this year for what God have for your next, right? And progress, right? And so I want you guys to really just get excited because God is doing some amazing things, right? But we have to be in position to get ready for that, right? We've been talking about getting back in position, take your position over the last couple of years. God has really been dealing with us, right, about that. Get back in position, take your position, because some of us we've lost our way. We've gotten out of position. God has given you a position of authority, right? The time is now, right? There's so much stuff that's going on in the world, and He is calling you to rise up in this season, right? So, listen, when we're talking about, you know, this week, let's just discuss a little bit about the first topic that I do believe that God is leading us to really stay focused and ask you the question, like, whose voice are you listening to, right? Because I do believe sometimes we can get so caught up in the things of the world, and then God's voice is getting silent, right? So I want you to hear me tonight, right? Because life be lifing it. I get it, right? But if we are not connected to our source and we're focusing on the resources, right? And the things and the issues and the problems and the drama of the world, you won't be able to hear God when He is giving you direction, right? And so I want us to be able, when we are at boot camp, I want us to go through some things to really key in on, okay, have I been listening to the right voice? Am I listening to my emotions? Am I listening to my feelings? Am I listening to what everybody else is saying? Right? And not what God has told me. And so I want you to even think about this, right? Have you forgotten what God told you? And if you have, this is the best time. Let's go back to God and get refocused so that we are listening to what did God say? Okay? What exactly did He say? Because the enemy is so cunning, right? You can tell by in the beginning with Eve when he was like, did God really say that? He made her question what God said. And I know that some of you are probably in that same boat, including me, right? To the point where we heard God, right? Because she also repeated what was said, but even though she repeated it, she listen to the doubt and all that the enemy was spewing. And so when we talk about getting back in position and taking our position, yo, the time is now, right? It is time for us to get back in position. It's time for us to really determine, like, yo, what did God say about this situation? And let us get back in line with what God is saying and what God is doing so that we can make impact, so that we are able to change, bring forth change, right? Transformation, which I love this, means to bring forth change. And God is calling us in this season to bring forth change. So, not sure about the voices that you have been given access to you, but now is the time for us to say, yo, I want to hear what God is saying. What does God say about this situation, right? So that when we're led by the Spirit, we can make better choices and decisions so that we can make impact, because things are coming at us. There's so much stuff that's going on in the world, but are you in position? Because God is calling you, right? He's calling you to make a difference. Are you an answer for individuals that are out there, right? And so, in order for us to be that answer, we cannot be listening to these voices that is telling us to do the very opposite of what God has for us. The voice of fear, the voice of uncertainty, the voice of shame, whatever that voice is that is trying to get you out of alignment, right? And have you, not really understanding who you are and whose you are. We got to silence that voice, honey. Like, yo, right? So there are things that God is getting us prepared for, and I need you to be in the room, okay? And so, I I'll just give you a little history, because some of you might not know. Some of you who were in Building You, who was with us from Transformation Inside Out, you experience when we were doing the live events, okay? But now it's called Building You Bootcamp. So we've been doing Building You Bootcamp ever since COVID happened. And when COVID happened, we've been doing everything online. Okay. And so from that point on, I heard God said it's time to go back live. And so this Building You Bootcamp will be our first event back live since COVID. All right. So I'm excited about what God is going to be doing, because I just believe that He's up to something. Yo, He's up to something. Because I would have never thought, to go back live. I thought that we were doing things, and it was flowing. We had our speakers. God was giving us like direction. And so now He wants us to go back live, and that's what we're going to do. Because if you know me, I want to hear God, not saying that, I'm perfect, but I really strive to hear what God is saying. And I really, do my best to walk in obedience, right? Because guys, obedience is the key. you know, you know, sometimes our flesh wants us to do other things. And can I be just transparent? The closer that we get to boot camp, it just seems like the more distractions. Like some of you already know, like when you got those distractions, you got to stay even more focused, because what the enemy tries to do is to deter you off of what God have purpose and plan for you. And so you have to stay focused. And I'll say that to some of you today. If you heard from God, and there are things and places that I know that God has told me certain things of what He wants me to do this year, I had to make sure that I locked those things in, right? Because if I did not lock them in, because I know for sure I heard what God said. If I did not lock it in, then distractions would come, then certain things would come up. And so I had to make sure that I locked those things in, right? So even when we're talking about being prepared for our next season, family, yo, when I tell you God is up to something, He is up to something, because it's not even just me. I'm hearing from other people how God is even preparing them as well. And so God has allowed us to go back in person for Building You Bootcamp 2026, and I'm excited and I'm all for it. Okay. So I'm going to give you, I got my little flyer together. And so tonight, every week we're going to be I'm going to do a pop-up so that I can remind you, sign up for Building You Bootcamp. I'm just loving AI. It just really do some amazing things, because this flyer was like, okay, look at that. But Building You Bootcamp, this week we're talking about whose voice are you listening to. And so that's one of the topics that we're going to be discussing on in Building You Bootcamp. Like, whose voice are you listening to? Are you listening to fear? Are you listening to stress? What are you hearing, right? Because we cannot allow these voices to deter us off of the path that God had for us, right? So it's time for us to get prepared. It's time for us to walk in our next, right? God is calling us higher in this season. And so we have to get prepared. We need to be in position, and it's time for us to progress forward, right? You've been stuck in that place too long, and now it's time. And I'm speaking for myself too. Like, now it's time to get up and move forward, because God is calling us higher, family. Okay. And so, yes, what do you need to do? So I got the scroll across the screen. Sign up, right? buildingyoubootcamp.com, and you can go ahead and you can sign up. The event is absolutely free, but there is limited spaces. So if you are coming, definitely sign up. But if you're on the fence, I would say wait it out, because the thing about it is, I want to make sure that we leave the spots open for those that really want to come and need to be in the room. Okay. And so you can always reach out. If you don't know and it's at the last minute, you can always reach out to me, and then I can let you know, like, if there's still slots available. That's fine. Okay. But I would say, if you're definitely sure, just sign up, because of course I want to make sure that we have enough slots for the people that truly want to come. So again, if you're in New Jersey, if you're coming down to Monmouth County, whatever, maybe you're traveling to New Jersey, you just want to do a drive-by, listen, come check your sister out. I'm excited about what this is going to be about this year. Okay. And so again, I just wanted to pop up and say, hey, what's up? And then just invite you guys to Building You Bootcamp. And come on, we ready. We ready. We ready. So come on now. I really can't believe, to be honest with you, like, the time went so quick. I cannot believe that it's like 3 weeks away, you know? It just came so fast. And so yeah, I just know that it's gonna be amazing, because we serve an amazing God, right? And so I know that, you know, some of you might even, you've been through to different events. What I always say to people, and I myself do this, I definitely, when you're talking about discerning the voice of God, especially in this season, because so much stuff is like trying to get our attention, right? I do a lot of different things, which, man, I know it's nobody but God that is helping me through so much, you know. But when I tell you, there's so many things that is trying to take our attention, right? To get our attention. So we have to be intentional about really just discerning God's voice and being obedient to what he's telling, because he loves you, he wants the best for you, and he wants to keep you out of harm's way. So the enemy loves to keep us distracted. That's one of his MOs. Like, if I could just keep them distracted, they won't walk in their purpose. They won't accomplish the things that God had for them, right? So he loves to do that, right? So when I tell you how important it is for you to really key in on what is God saying, and what and how is God saying to do this, and when do I do it? Because timing is everything as well. You will get something, discern something that God is telling you to do. And if you're like me, I'm like, yes, let's do it, you know, but he had to like calm me down a little bit. And even sometimes I'm still like that. I was like, okay, if God said do it, let's do it. you know. But there is a timing issue for everything too. So when God is giving you certain things to do, the next question is, okay, God, is this for now, or if this is this for later? Because sometimes it could be for later, and you're doing or trying to prepare for it for now, right? And there's other things that God might have you do for now, and that's just something that could be next. So for me, what it looks like, especially every single morning, I'm like, God, what's on your agenda for today? Right? Because my agenda could be so many different things. And I still get myself caught up because I'm like a mover and a shaker. I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. You know, but I do my best to say, okay, let's hold up. You know, you're trying to do so many different things. God, what's on your agenda? And he will show me and reveal to me certain things, even for me. I'm sitting there thinking that I got time to do it. And then I'm hearing God telling me, no, you have to get this done now. Right. So when I tell you how important it is for us to really discern, right, God's voice and what he's telling us to do in this season, so that we are not caught off guard by anything. Right. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, but we want to be able to be prepared for what God is telling us to do in the now. All right. So, yes, y'all, I'm excited. I hope you can get excited. Again, you could just go on my website, buildingyoubootcamp.com, and sign up. Sign up today and get ready. Get ready. Get ready. In the words of TD Jakes, get ready, because God has something amazing and awesome for you. So if you're hearing God, even as you listen to this, when I get off this live, go directly on buildingyoubootcamp.com and sign up, because you feel a pulling that God is calling you to be in the room. Okay. And so that's all I have for you. So I will do some couple of more pop-ups. We'll look at the other, we'll I think we got like exactly like 3 weeks. So I'll be popping up once a week just to kind of get you guys like letting you know, like, yo, I'm excited. And if there's any announcements or anything about boot camp, and I'll do that. All right. So may God continue to bless you guys, and I will see some of you at boot camp. All right. Bye.